All right, what's up, everybody? We are going to talk about Virtual Boy, and while we're doing this live, this is also going to be like the same style as I would have done a high production video. I just really wanted to have Kevin as part of it because you've been such a huge part of the Virtual Boy community and all the craziness. So I just wanted Kevin to join.
Thanks.
So thank you very much.
Yeah,
Um,
excited. Thanks for hosting this.
all
You'll
right.
see occasionally my son in the background. I have him on the weekends, so this should be interesting. But
One second.
his mom works on the weekends, so he's with dad, like most of Cody was.
All right. So beer in hand, ready to go.
All right, sounds good. No.
Rasmus is reporting in from RetroCon in Norway. Awesome.
All right, nice.
Well, I just wanted to start by kind of just going over all of the accessories and why people may or may not want them. And
Okay.
this, I'll start out with a case which is kind of ridiculous and kind of amazing at the same time. This one is a brand new custom one made. I have links to everything we're going to talk about in the description if anybody wants more info on it. But this is a repro made to be just like the US Blockbuster video cases. So there's like the fake tag with the rentals, and I just think this thing is awesome. And while I've never grabbed my Virtual Boy to take it on the go. Destiny and I a couple of times had a Virtual Boy stream planned, and then shit hit the fan as usual sometimes. But I was legit going to be on the subway with my Virtual Boy carrying case. These things
Right.
are like 185 after shipping and tax and all that stuff, so they're very expensive. But this thing is gorgeous. Let me make sure
Yeah,
we can see that on here.
you
So
did a really nice
yeah,
cases.
absolutely. So I'm just gonna unpack this stuff, uh, and I'm gonna do it slow just so that we can see how nice and everything fits in here. This is just too cool. There's much different versions of this case. There's the Japanese version, but I chose this because it has room for absolutely everything. So, all right. So just the other thing too, we'll try to pay attention to the chat, but I kind of want to get through the accessories first. So if people in the chat could just be kind enough to let everybody else know if you have any questions, we will get to them. We promise you. But let's just start with the unboxing. So we have here a Virtual Boy with a brand new visor, because that's kind of the gross thing. You're playing Virtual Boy for hours. You don't want other people's sweat rubbing up against you. I'm not really a germaphobe, but that does kind of gross me out. But this is not a stock Virtual Boy. First, Jose Cruz did the mod on this one. I believe Jose did this one for the ribbon. So basically, you have to. Do you know? Have you done the ribbon mods on yours?
Had it done, yeah. I had somebody do them. I think one of the members of the VB community and at NES Freak. I think he's still doing them, but yeah, I had him done.
There's a few people that have been doing them for a long time that do a really good job. You basically have a choice between. Hold on, I got my backup bag of stuff here. You basically have a choice between getting something like this, where it is a brand new ribbon cable. This one was a prototype batch I got a while back. It's not really going to be in focus. So you could do that, and you could manually
Yeah,
solder it, or you could use the chemical technique where you wear down the originals and then you resolder those manually. So both will work fine. It's really what you're most comfortable with. But this also has two virtual taps installed, one for each eye.
nice.
And one is VGA output and the other is RGB. And I wanted two because I'm ridiculous and I like the Virtual Boy. That's it. It's the only reason.
Nice.
The real reason you would want to decide between the two, if your only goal is to play this on an RGB monitor, you get the RGB version. It's not the correct aspect ratio, it's a little different, but and I'll show an example of that too. I have the OSSC here, of course. But it's not the best choice unless that's your setup. Unless the only thing that you want is to go right to a PVM, so you have the choice between gaming in 3D or not. Or, of course, if you are one of the many people who has a smashed up and destroyed Virtual Boy with a working motherboard, you could consoleize it. I do not like to see people destroy working Virtual Boys for that, but there are plenty that have flown down a flight of stairs and all of the glass is smashed and the plastic smashed. So those are great. You want to hook that up to your RGB monitor, beautiful. However, the VGA outputs at 800 by 600, and it is excellent. It's exactly what you would want in almost all cases, including streaming. Because I think most people that would have something like this would going to do what we're going to do today, where I'm going to play in 3D, but then stream via the VGA output and the OSSC. Both outputs are weird. Not all scalers will work with them, so that's one of the many reasons why I still love owning an open source scan converter. And that's it for the basic Virtual Boy. There aren't any other mods done. Do you know of any other mods, Kevin, to the Virtual Boy heads themselves that you think are worth talking about?
Think to the heads. I mean, the virtual tap's the big popular one, and yeah, I have a new visor as well. It's basically deteriorating at this age, day and age. Yeah,
Gotcha. All right, and next, I'll grab that in a second, but the stand fits perfectly in, and this is a brand new aftermarket stand with one of these metal medallions for it. These are absolutely beautiful. They're expensive, but once again, if you love the Virtual Boy, it's absolutely worth it. If you don't like the Virtual Boy, then, you know, why would you spend it? But the most common thing, I don't think, oh yeah, wait, hold on, I do have it over here. Here's the original, and here's what always happens. You're going to see the crack. I'll get it right up to the camera. I'll try my best to get it right up to the camera. Wait, I got an idea. Aha. There we go. So the crack goes right down the side, and this is what happens to everybody's. Because you open up the stand, and then it just pulls too far and cracks it. So I do have the original Nintendo one here. And I think even the top of this one is cracked too. So I kept this just for nostalgia to say I have the original. But this is a brand new, well, new to me, aftermarket stand, and it's got the metal medallion, so that's never breaking again. Now, the funny thing is, for years, I've been orienting this wrong. So somebody found photos on the internet of people, or of Nintendo, talking about the proper orientation for the Virtual Boy, which I thought was really funny. So apparently you're supposed to do it like this. So it's facing towards you. But a lot of the pictures out there, including all of the official Nintendo magazine ones, has it the opposite so that you could see the Virtual Boy logo. So I just kind of, for me personally, I just kind of fool around until it snaps in place. And it always seems to do a better job like that. So you know what?
yeah.
I'll be a rebel and we'll do it wrong. Virtual Boy facing outward with that beautiful medallion. So
I don't know why. For me too, it always snaps in easier the wrong way.
yeah, yeah. It's sturdy both ways. It's not like it's gonna flop around and fall without it. Then of course, standard controller. And I have the battery pack for it, but I can't remember if I've ever used it. I think I used Eneloops with it once just for the heck of it. So yeah, 6 AA batteries, typical 90s Nintendo. Gotta love that. Yeah. So just like all the other portable consoles from that era. But I do also have a power adapter, an AC adapter. And these well, if you, there we go, slide right down on top of that. And I have a triad power supply for this one. You could get an official Super Nintendo one, but I like the triads because they're brand new, and because you can get ones that work internationally. And for this particular one, now you have the pigtail that sticks out. So you never have to worry about wondering which one goes into your Super Nintendo / Virtual Boy. But essentially, it's just a Super Nintendo power supply. So that works out. And this is very short. So if you're right up against the Virtual Boy playing it like normal, cool. But if you're consoleized, you might want to sit a little farther out. And that's when Kevin came to the rescue. with this extension cord.
Yeah.
When did you release this one again? This was a while back, right?
It was a while back, yeah, and it was for the console guys. So I still sell, a few of those today. It's almost all console.
So I'm not going to use it today just because I don't need the extra space. But the other thing that I definitely used this for was when we did the arcade sticks. So for playing hyper
Okay.
fighting, adding this, it was almost a necessity. So this is a very awesome feature. And then what we're not going to be able to demo today, but is awesome, is you made the link cable as well.
Yeah, that was my first VB project ever. So that
Eh,
was, yeah, 7, 8, maybe 9 years ago now. I forget.
And there we go. That just plugs right into the expansion port and links two Virtual Boys together. I forgot the one thing I forgot in the description was when we did the live stream with this. So I'll leave that link. It's available right on RetroRGB.com if you just search for Virtual Boy live stream. But we did a hyper fighting tournament with this. It was awesome. You could also play Mario Tennis with the ROM hack plus a couple of other homebrews, which we'll probably show in a bit. And let me show the games I got for it. So I have a copy of Hyper Fighting, not complete in box, but this was a single game because the game was too large to fit on any of the only ROM cart that was out at the time, which was the Flash Boy Plus. And I still hold on to this original Flash Boy because this is how I load the second player Mario 2 Mario Tennis for the so this is what I have loaded on here. So when I do play against somebody else with a Virtual Boy, I don't have to worry about them having the right equipment. I have everything as long as they have a working Virtual Boy. I hand them that, and they're able to play Mario Tennis 2-player on this. And there's another flash cart that I use, which of course we'll show that in a moment. Um, and then I have a couple of original games. Wario Land is, I think, the best retail game on the platform, at least in my opinion. And
Yes.
I love Mario Tennis too. That's the original. So, um, and of course, the one that we all know, the Hyper Flash 32,
Nice.
the e-ink based ROM cart that you use the touchscreen controls and the e-ink screen in order to load the games. I did a full detailed video on this. This is just as cool as you would expect. This absolutely is just the perfect use for this because it does take a moment or two to load a game, but you get the e-ink screen. It's just as unique and weird as the Virtual Boy is, so you can't get any more of a win than this thing right here. And then, of course, this was a retro access right angle RGB cable. So I figure I will fire up Wario Land. Does that have an attract mode?
I have no idea, actually.
I completely don't remember. So let me fire that up just so
Yeah.
we could see. Going to plug this in, and then as soon as I'm plugged in, I'm going to switch over to the OSSC so that we could just see what the virtual tab is outputting. But I want to make sure this is all working properly first. So final thing to plug in is the controller itself. And I'll start with the RGB cable just so you could kind of see the difference. And now you can see exactly why I wanted the right angle Fortraflex cable for this. This is just any 8-pin mini DIN, but you choose whatever you want when you build your virtual tap into it. So turn this on, see what we got. It'd be very funny if it didn't turn on all of a sudden. No, it's working. All right, so let me switch this over. Okay, of course I should have thought of having to to redo the screen, but uh, virtual boy start. All right. I think I should change the resolution output. It's probably going to be the easiest way to do this. Oh. All right. Interesting that it's just showing a 640 by 480 screen like that, but it's too wide. I wonder if something's up with my OSSC. Let me just undo and redo that real quick.
Yep. There you go. That looks good.
Okay. I think that's all I needed to do is reset the I used to have two inputs on my capture card, and then I gave that back to a friend, and now I have one that doesn't, so I have to switch with a manual switch, and it doesn't
Yeah.
always work correctly. There we go. All right. So I'm gonna have to change it again anyway, but I wanted you to see the aspect ratio differences. It's a little bit smushed top to bottom. It's not enough to drive me crazy, but it is enough to be able to just show people that unless your purpose of doing this is to play on a PVM, you're probably going to want to try the other one. So I'm just going to grab a basic VGA cable. These are just right out the Amazon store. These are very good though. They're shielded, of course. You plug that right into the other one. Right? And there we go. That's exactly the correct aspect ratio. Um, I think for the purpose of this stream, I'm going to stretch it, but I think just everybody realize what I'm doing here. I might be able to just do it 2x. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll show the sharpness now just to kind of demo it, but I think I'm just going to go back to the original look. And the other cool thing is that if it still works, you could press the button to change the color palette. So some games look better at different colors. Some games look good in just black and white. I think I normally just leave it on red, to be honest with you. Do you game at all with the virtual tap, or do you just use the 3D screen?
I have a couple of the kits, but I actually have never installed them. So yeah, I just play on the original VB.
I think black and white would probably be best for the stream. That's what a lot of people preferred last time. I like it in
Okay.
red, but I mean, I'm me, so it's probably not the best. Probably not the best person to ask. The one thing I did forget was adding audio into the OSSC. Probably worth it because some of the homebrew games have really good audio. So let me just take one moment to try to find that. And Kevin, I think this is probably a good time because I'm going to take a minute. Would you mind
Sure.
telling people about the products that you have coming up for this, the ones that you have pre-orders open for, which I should have added that to the list too. What an idiot. Okay,
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
leaving myself a note. Add live stream and pre-order products. Sorry. All right, go for it. I'll be right back.
That's good. So yeah, I'm Kevin Mellott from RetroRGB. So been part of the VB community now for, I don't know, probably 8, 9 years. And I built a lot of gear. Like Bob mentioned, I built the link cable extensions that he has. But right now, there's a couple pre-orders at retroonyx.com. One of them's a VB Rumble kit. So there are a few games that developers are putting uh, rumble or vibration feedback to go on the back of the VB cart. Um, it initially started out as kind of a, hey, this would be ridiculous. And of course, it ended up being built, or it's being built now. So pre-orders if you're interested. Formula V, the new game coming out from the View Engine guys, will have it. Um, Fishbone has it from Thunderstruck, and then there's Captain Sevilla. There's a demo, also from the View Engine guys that has Rumble support, and then the View Engine itself that you can use to build games has built-in Rumble libraries. So hopefully the number of games that uses the Rumble will expand and grow over time. There are a few more prototype kits out there to other developers, but for now there's those four. And then I have on the product page, there's a surprise one coming. I don't want to say too much about it, but some of the proceeds from some of the VB product sales helps me fund that game development. So there'll be a new game coming, TBD on the release time. And then the other thing, which is probably more relevant to what Bob was just going into, is I have pre-orders for a Blue Retro adapter. So this is based on the work that Darth Cloud has done, and you see it popping up on the other platforms. I did one for VB as well, specifically for the console people. So that'll allow you to use whatever Bluetooth controller you want and remote that and get some more distance, much farther than what the extension kit can do. And really, a VB community member kind of put me on that. I was working on a Super Nintendo controller adapter, and they said, "Hey, have you heard of this Blue Retro thing?" And it did everything I was trying to do, but much better, and supported a lot more controllers. So that's also up for pre-order. Both those devices are in fabrication now, so PCBs are being built. Yeah, and I think that's it on those two.
Thank you very much. I didn't realize I was drinking Smittix, and Smittix label is Virtual Boy Red. That's pretty funny, or Virtual Boy Orange, whatever it is.
Nice.
The other day, a bunch of people were complaining. They're like, I don't like Bob that much. I watch some of his podcasts, but I absolutely hate that he'll crack a beer at the beginning and just drink it the whole time. So, cheers to you, Dick. So, before we get into the other games, now is the time that from now on we'll start paying attention to the chat. I just wanted to get through all that as smoothly as possible. It's obviously a live stream's not as smooth as the normal videos, but any questions at all about this stuff, now's the time. And of course, we'll take questions from now on about anything, but any questions about these awesome Virtual Boy accessories and anything else related to it. It's, of course, there's always a lovely delay.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys on stream, but it really looks great in the OBS preview window.
Yeah, it looks nice on my end.
Dustin wants to know if there's a difference between the US and Japanese Virtual Boy. Do you know anything about that, Kevin?
There's some differences with some of the AC packs and the AC power adapters, as you might imagine, but otherwise they're the same.
So if you're buying a Triad and using a standard AC adapter like this one, then there's just no difference. Play US games on it, everything else.
Yeah, the US ones, came with the Super Nintendo plug, and the Japanese ones are a 2.1 millimeter.
Okay. Is it the same as the Super Famicom then?
That I do not know.
I have one, but it's buried over there. So it's a year later, and I'm still unpacking and moving stuff around. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, so now I'm going to switch over and play some Homebrew. And basically, from now on, any questions, anybody fire away. Of course, we're going to be using the HyperFlash 32 in order to do this. And I think we're going to start with Formula V. Do you know the team behind this?
Yeah, with them on and off over the years. I mean, the guy that leads the View Engine group, um, user's name's KR155E. He's the guy that runs Planet VB. So he's been around a really long time. He works Formula V with several people, but the other big developer is George, also a longtime member. And there are a couple other in the background. Apologize, I don't know everybody's name, but they work on it as well. So they've been around a very long time, and yeah, they put a lot of cool tricks, all the latest and greatest tricks to get this game to shine and go away.
Yeah, so Rasmus wanted to know, can we provide a price estimate for this? That's an excellent question, and I think that's something. So maybe go through this with me, Kevin, and see if I'm on the right track or if I'm way off here. But so the carrying case was 185. I'm not sure if they're still available. I'm positive prices are going up because shipping's gone up. Everything's gone up. So maybe just assume 200 for that. A Virtual Boy console with a repaired ribbon cable, and I think this was recapped too. There's not many caps in it, but because it was already apart, you know, I've seen Virtual Boys broken go for 200. I've seen them work and go for 3, but with the repaired ribbon cable, it's about $400, right?
I'd agree, it's around there. I was gonna say 350. Yeah.
Okay, and the virtual taps are like $100 each, but then you have to pay to have somebody install them or do it yourself. So if you wanted to go crazy and have both installed, I would think 300, but if not, 200 or under for just one. Sounds about right, right?
Yeah, it seems insane to say that's about right, but that's where we're at.
The aftermarket stands are amazingly disappointing. When they were released a couple years ago, I think I talked about it because Hyperkin was the company that made it happen. They didn't make it, but they distributed it through another company, so we would have never gotten them if it wasn't for Hyperkin. I praise them every time they deserve it, and you know they don't always deserve it, but everybody seems to love to hate on them, and they don't only do bad stuff; they do good stuff too. So these used to be like $25, and now I see them like $60 because there's just not a lot of stock of them. Do you know of a cheaper place to get replacement stands?
I mean, that's pretty much the only way to get one, right? Other than that.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody knows of a place, please shout it out in the chat. I'd love to update the link to something other than eBay. I do know that if you wanted, I don't know where I put it, but if you wanted an original stand without a broken medallion, without any bent wires on it like this, like the wireframe, that's really expensive. So I don't know. I mean, you'd have to be a hardcore collector to spend all the extra money on that. And I mean, even the medallion, which is probably going to go for $50 around the next run for all the same reasons, metal, shipping. So I mean, for $100, let's say you get the stand and the medallion. Would you rather have that with a nice metal one that's never going to break, or do you want to spend $200 on the original that'll most likely break? That's definitely up to you, of course, but um let's see what else we got here. Just have my list up. What is the HyperFlash 32 going for these days, and are they in stock?
The HyperFlash 32 is not. I'm in the middle of the third batch, still building them. Very late. I apologize for that. Just no issues other than time and getting them out. Batch 4 also sold out pretty quick, but batch 4 was kind of a half batch because of all the component issues, in the market. It's hard to get parts. So
Yeah.
basically, I stopped doing them because there are several key parts that I can't get anymore, and they just continue to slide out. Now everything says May of 2023, so they're sold out. Hyperboy is still available. I built a bunch extra of those. The latest batch is on the way. I know that's not the e-ink that a lot of people ask for. It's a little simpler cart, but it's available, in the meantime.
I forgot about that too. Sorry, Kev. That's 3 things of yours I forgot about here. That's another reason why I wanted you on stream, to correct all my stupid mistakes. But When I talked about using the Flash Boy for a secondary single flash cart, it's because I already bought it a million years ago. If you were looking to do something like that now, like if you were a hardcore Virtual Boy fan, you would get the Hyper Flash and the Hyper Boy. And the Hyper Boy is basically just a single game at a time that you have to use your computer to flash the ROM onto it. But it will fit Hyper Fighting, right?
Yep, that's correct.
So it'll fit all everything, all the homebrew and original games on one. So you would actually buy one of each. You would buy that to flash your second player Mario, so that you could have both. But what are the prices on both of those?
Boy now is 160. Definitely higher than I'd like it to be, but that's just where it ends up.
Part shortage.
Yeah, and it's just everything's crazy now. But originally wanted that to be a $99 thing, but it kind of grew. The initial batches were a little bit cheaper, but yeah, the main point of Hyperboy was, hey, let's reuse as much of the Hyper Flash circuitry as I can, but drop all the bells and whistles to try and reduce costs, and still keep the double memory. And it has a couple advantages over Flash Boy, just because it's newer. But Flash Boy is still a great product. I have one myself. They tend to be a bit expensive on eBay, but yeah, it's Hyperboy was my attempt at a cheaper Virtual Boy flash card. So
Yeah, and the Flash Boy, that was Richard Hutchinson, I believe, who did that.
yeah,
I've reached out to him a few times. He's always friendly and never talkative. Like I'll like, hey, big fan of yours, great. Thanks for this. I have a question about that, and what do you think about this? Yes, June, and that's it. Like it's all of my responses from him. I never, he doesn't like talking, but he's always friendly. And then so shout out to Richard for that one. All right, and Raceroni wanted to make a point that I think they're totally right. I'm making the sound more expensive. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm giving a perspective of, like, what if you decide that you're a hardcore Virtual Boy fan and you want it all? If you just want to start playing, grab yourself like a bundle somewhere. Try to get one in a local game store so you can make sure it's not all busted up. But if you could try to find a $200 or $300 one that's working, there you go. Buy a game or two super cheap, whichever the cheapest games are. But or on the flip side, pick what's important to you. You don't have to install a virtual tap. You probably are going to need to do the lens fixes because all of these are broken. But just pick up one of these and grab a flash cart, and you're good to go. And grab the Hyperboy, the cheaper one. But to continue down the list anyway, the link cable, those are all handmade, with those special connectors on the end. So I think after tax and shipping, it's like $95 or something.
Yeah, the cables are a little high, but yeah, they're all handmade. I perfected them over the years. So I started with the Virtual Boy long ago and ended up doing some in Dreamcast as well. And the Dreamcast designs really forced me to refine things. So yeah, they've been tuned and tweaked over the years, and now they're pretty stable. And I think just about every cable, no matter what system we're talking about, is around 80 or $85. I forget.
And if you needed multiple, of course, you could save on shipping. But the other thing to remember too is this isn't like an RJ45 cable with a connector glued at the end. These are quality cables with a quality connector. So, if you're in the middle of a match and you're looking in the Virtual Boy and your hand hits it, it's not going to snap the cable into a million pieces. I wouldn't pick up your Virtual Boy from it, but I would say that about any cable. So
yeah. Yeah, I try to apply. I mean, on most of the stuff I do, I try to work on it like it's my full-time day job, even though it's not. So, yeah.
So the battery pack, those are averaging like $75 on eBay. I don't know if I would recommend getting a battery pack unless you wanted every accessory, or unless you really, because I do know a few people who their setups are so cool. They walk, they have it set to their height. They walk right up to their Virtual Boy, but it's nowhere near a plug. So the battery pack and some Eneloops, definitely the right move for them. But for me, I don't play it that often, so when I do, I don't want to have to mess with batteries. But if you wanted it, it's expensive. Maybe Greg, maybe Laser Bear will make a rechargeable Virtual Boy battery pack or something one of these days. If the demand is there, he'd probably do it. And same
Yeah.
thing with the AC adapter. Just this plastic piece is $25. And then Castlemania sells the Triad pack for like 15 or something, plus tax and shipping, of course. But that's what I would suggest most people get. And I believe there's a couple of different options for aftermarket packs as well. You're making one, and there was another person, right?
Yeah, there's a couple other people that are making them. I started making one as well. I haven't seen an AC adapter for $25 in about 10 years, but if they're out there, please link to them so people can grab them. Someone just showed me this morning in the community they're over $100, and so once they went over 100, I decided to do my own version, and that ultimately led to the Rumble packs and detailing out how that.
Oh, you know what? In my list, I had the AC adapter as the actual AC adapter, the Triad power supply. I didn't
Yeah,
look that up online on eBay. Yeah, you're right. That's
the adapters are nuts, man. I don't know. The pricing's crazy,
let me look.
but yeah, there's a couple third party.
65, 115 with a 115 with a garbage PSU with it. Oh no, that's terrible. Yeah, all right. So those are a lot more expensive. I will edit that after the stream is over. Oops. Okay. And I think the only it's whatever output you want if you have a SCART cable. So it's like usually $40 for a good SCART cable. The VGA cable, if the link in the description to the Amazon store, retrorgb.link/Amazon. Check out that VGA cable, $8, fully shielded. Steve from HD Retrovision cut it up, put it on a scope, double checked it. It's a great deal. It's probably more than $8 now because everything's higher, but still good deal. And that's pretty much it. Games range from 15 to infinite. Wario Land's averaging $70 now, cartridge and dust cover only. Mario Tennis still 20. So
Yeah, tennis is not too bad still, but the others are going crazy just like everywhere else.
yeah. Replacement visors. That's another one. I gotta look into that. Thank you, chat. I bought these back at the same time that there was a replacement stands available, so I don't know what that means today. I have extra ones here, and I think I also have your kit. That is the. Oh yeah, you know what? That is here. It is the SNES cable for hyper fighting. So it comes with your power supply and the kit for hyper fighting.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
So that'll be replaced with the Blue Retro one. But yeah, that one works great for hyper fighting only. But most people then try to immediately use it outside of hyper fighting, which I guess is intuitive or natural to try. But it really the only VB game that knows about the Super Nintendo controller is hyper fighting. So it's just a passive wire adapter and doesn't work so well for basically all the other games.
Yeah. Rasmus was talking about playing Game Boy games in the Virtual Boy. There is an emulator. It's mostly slow, but it's very cool because it adds 3D layers to all that stuff. Let's see. Hey, Shank's in the chat. Good to see you, Shank. Shank's portable Virtual Boy thing was pretty damn awesome.
It was, yeah, pretty impressive. Told me you should start selling them.
All right, so let's we're gonna keep looking at the chat. Any questions, fire away. But I'm gonna see if I can adjust my chair and do this here. It'd be very funny if I fell over on stream because I'm trying to get into the Virtual Boy right. All right, got my mic down. I don't know if there's a right place to hold your controller, but I always hold it in front of me. I've seen people hold it like below, around. You definitely want Kevin's extension cable if you do that, but so if you see a flicker in your Virtual Boy, close one of your eyes. If it looks good, close that one and open your other eye, and If it's only going through one eye, that means you need the ribbon cable replaced or fixed.
Yeah, there's a question already about your stand being backwards. So.
Yeah, we already went over that. We already went over that. I like it this way, so you know, the depth, the 3D depth in this is just insane. Like when you go over those grates and you can see through to the bottom, it's just too cool.
Yeah, they're doing a great job on this game. And actually, you're doing a great job controlling it because I can't get very far without running into the wall. Um,
Oh, really?
but
It
yeah,
reminds me of RC Pro Am, like the
okay.
controls.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't quite gotten used, so I don't have a lot of playing time, but I also like to bump into the walls to test the rumble pack. So,
Ah, good point. Good point.
yeah, they're doing a great job on this game. I mean, they're playing all kinds of tricks with the picture-in-picture there, and you know, things like in the loading menu where you saw that really nice 3D car using some of their high color tricks to try and basically pump as much as they can out of this, this platform. So they're doing a great job.
Yeah, and you know, I um, quick race over. Cool. So I don't, I hate to be the person that's like, oh, you gotta be there. Unless you're here, you don't get it. But unfortunately, you will not be able to get the depth of these things without actually playing one on a Virtual Boy. So I love the virtual tap for streaming. I think it's such a cool idea, but there's no possible way that you would be able to understand how deep the 3D goes in this without playing it in person, and the color blending as well. Only you could really only see the because what's there, it makes it seem like there's more than twice the shades of red or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, Formula V will basically be an example of what's the latest and greatest you can do on the platform. I think once it's finished, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, Shank, I like my 3D real deep. um yeah, Robert, the same person who was doing the PlayStation Mr. Core, had mentioned possibly doing a Virtual Boy at one point, but in our in our interview, I kind of was politely and fun busting his chops about, like, you can't have a Virtual Boy core without figuring out a way to do it in 3D. It's just, you got to. And he's like, well, that's why I don't want to do it, because now I'm gonna have to figure out how to do 3D. So I'll do one more race in this, and then we'll switch over to another one.
Good.
So we did dawn. So let's do night this time.
I think it'd still be interesting to see it on Mister, even if it wasn't 3D. I mean, a lot of the console guys, I think, are playing the game not in 3D.
Yeah, there's just something too cool about this, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the draw to VB. I mean, that's what drew me into it initially as well. So yeah, you lose that. But...
Yeah, and a lot of people just think it's the most fun thing in the world to make fun of Virtual Boy, but if you play the wrong games, yeah, 100%, it's ridiculous. But if you play the right games, stuff like this, I think the 3D effect was used so nicely. I mean, it's kind of like the Master System 3D games. There was one or two of them where I was just like, why is this in 3D? There's a stupid gimmick. But you play Maze Hunter or Maze Walker, if you have the Japanese version, it uses the depth of 3D as part of the layout of the game and the mazes. It's really awesome. And a good Virtual Boy game does that too. So
yeah, exactly.
oh, I love how everything looks different now because we're at nighttime. It's different shades of stuff. The headlights are different.
Yeah, they're expanding with new tracks as well. They're doing all kinds of stuff. I believe the plan is to have a larger capacity part too, so that they can put a lot more graphics and content for the game. We'll see as they get closer to the end. But yeah, it's very cool.
All right. Well, let me switch games real quick. All right, so all you have, I showed this in the video, so I'm not going to make a big deal about it here. You can kind of sort of see it, but hold down A and B until you feel the haptic touch wiggle, and
Yep.
then the game select is here, and I just usually hold down the button for a few seconds to skip the screen,
Mhm. Yep.
and you just got to be patient. It is e-ink, but it kind of works out for this one because it's not like there's, a 2,000 games that you're going through. So that was Formula V, right?
Yep.
Well, let's do elevated speed next. And while we're waiting for this to load, I want to give a shout out to Thunderstruck. We left a link to his Patreon in the description. Thunderstruck does a ton of stuff for the Virtual Boy community, makes a bunch of cool things, and I'm happy to support them on Patreon because they're not one of those monthly creators, but when they do drop a release of something, it makes a big splash.
I support Thunderstruck as well, and on a lot of the latest products. I mean, Thunderstruck's been a huge helper on Hyperflash. He actually rewrote all the firmware at one point. Same thing for Hyperboy, and then he did the firmware for the Rumble Pack as well. So he's always doing things behind the scene. Definitely a great community member. Not everything is front facing with what he does, so I always support his Patreon as well, and I work with him, all the time on BB stuff. So
I
he's a
gotta
great
get him
guy.
on the podcast one of these days. I've been scrambling to get stuff done before the expo this coming weekend, and I just
Okay.
haven't had time for anything. I've been doing live streams and really just to kind of get some stuff out because a bunch of my friends have their stuff here, so I've been
Uh,
doing, and they're meeting me here before the expo, so I want to get all of their stuff ready and gone before they get here, so that way I don't have to worry about it. But the last racing game was Formula V, and this is elevated speed, which you could see sort of with my terrible webcam uh, on the e-ink screen.
that's another great one that just came out, and I am all I can ever remember is his username starts with pizza, but I should find his full
Pizza
username.
Rolls Royce.
There you go. He's also working on a really impressive hardware Raspberry Pi based VB cart. It's all kind of dev kit now, but really impressive work. The guy's doing a great job there, and has a partially functioning flash card as part of that as well. But really, what he intends to do is drive the system with a Raspberry Pi and all the power that comes with that. So he's a lot of impressive stuff in recent years from him.
So if I'm remembering correctly, this music in this game was awesome. So I'm gonna turn that up just a hair. All right, let me play one round. I'll turn the music back down afterwards, but I really liked it the last time I played it. I think this is a slightly newer version. This game is what F-Zero would have been like if Nintendo put it on Virtual Boy.
Yeah, great job here. That's fun too.
And this one works with your link cable for 2-player support.
It does. It's actually I've heard. I haven't actually tried it yet, but yeah.
This freaking song, when I was doing the demo video on this thing, I played this like 4 or 5 times in a row to get a good run so I didn't look like an idiot when I posted the video online. And this song was stuck in my head for like 4 days.
I don't think we can hear the audio actually. I can't hear anything.
You can't, Kevin, but everybody else would be able to in the stream. Sorry, I still haven't figured out how to do that yet. Somebody told me I need multiple mixers and stuff, and I don't know. I'm not really good at anything. I'm not a good streamer, but I do it all the time. I'm not a great YouTuber, but sometimes I make videos that are good enough. I kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I understand. Jack of trades. Is this the a larger file size ROM? It has a little bit better rendering, I guess, or better graphics.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what they do here on the hardware work they've been doing as well. It's impressive. You're good at this one too.
No, I'm losing. I'm 8 of 8.
And I spent a lot of time testing Virtual Boy, so I have a lot of hours on like the first few seconds or the first level of games, but I actually haven't played a lot of them all the way through.
I think I've played the first few minutes of like 10 games hundreds of times and never went past it because I gotta get footage for the videos. I gotta all of the dev work that I do. You know, I'm testing products for people. I gotta just get the answers to their questions.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of how I know a product or a game is really good. If I go to do some testing on it and I blink an eye and an hour's gone by and I'm like, oh wow, I played more than the first level.
Yeah, it engaged you.
The RetroTink 5X scanline filters were like that. I was like, well, let me just mess with a few of them, and then, you know, I'll write the article. And I blinked, and like 4 hours had gone by. I'm like, oh man, I gotta shoot today's podcast. What the hell?
Nice. Someone was just asking again what game this is. This is Elevated Speed.
All right, everybody in the chat, good luck getting that song out of your head. All right, let me switch over to another homebrew related one. Any questions? Now's the time. If we could only find the ROM to Zero Racers one day, what is that? Have you heard of that one, Kevin?
Probably one of the ROMs that's God, I'm drawing a blank, but there's a rumor that the ROM exists, but there's some other guys that probably know a lot more about it than I do. Whose Patreon do I gotta support for that ROM? That's Pizza Rolls Royce. I don't think he has a Patreon actually. He just does this stuff for fun. And
no, but the link is definitely in the description. Just scroll down to Elevate Speed Homebrew, and everything's right there. And in fact, I'm doing this in these games in the order of them in the description. And I should probably, after this is over, I'll add a little marker of like what's homebrew and not.
Yeah, and a lot of the developers are very active on the Planet VB Discord, so you can find them there almost daily.
Yeah, VB Discord and forum, one of the last places on the internet that doesn't have a bunch of awful people. It's just sorry to be negative, but so many forums just completely went to shit.
Yeah. Now VB's still kind of small and a nice group of people to work with, so there's not a lot of drama. There's not a lot of anything there. So,
Frog Puppet had an interesting question. Any possibility of changing the LED color inside the Virtual Boy, not coming out of the Virtual tab?
People ask that. A few people have looked in the past. They're really small LEDs there. They're dyes, in a strip that then gets scanned, then shine a mirror, and that scans and creates the display. I think it'd be a tough one. Is it possible? Yeah, of course. Those LED dyes are massive compared to what we have now, but Is it profitable or reasonable to do? Probably not. But you know, when the day comes when all those start going bad, you know, somebody will do it.
Yeah, but half the stuff we do, we don't do it because it's reasonable or profitable. We do it because we're nerds and we like to do it. So,
Yeah, yeah. Someone takes it on as a passion project, maybe they'll do it. I think Tech looked at it a little bit in detail, but even he didn't take it on.
oh, you know, that's another thing I forgot. I forgot to add Furtek's Patreon because he designed the virtual tap.
He did, yeah.
I'm just keeping a list of stuff I screwed up. All right, this is Capitan Sevilla. I actually haven't played this for a while, so or I don't, I'm not, can't remember if I did actually. So, um, let me fire this things up. Hey Shank, maybe your next side project would be replacing the LED color in a Virtual Boy.
There you go. Yeah, this is a great demo from the View Engine guys, and it has that kind of comic, you know, panel view feel to it. Also, one of the demos that supports the Rumble Pack now, but they did a great job. I'd love to see them, you know, carry this forward and make it more of a full game.
Is his chin supposed to look like butt cheeks?
I believe so.
Sometimes it looks like a sack, sometimes it looks like cheeks.
It does. Yeah,
But I mean, the game's supposed to be a little bit funny, right?
yeah. So I like the style. You know, it's a unique game or a unique demo on the platform for sure.
All right, so you could. How do you reload?
There you
Okay. I think it just froze. Well, you know
go.
what?
All right.
Let me try that one more time.
It's always a demo time.
Right before the stream started, I downloaded the latest version of all of these ROMs, and I'm wondering now, is that the right move? Should I have just stayed with the version that it was working?
Yeah, you never change the software files right before demo, or anything for that matter. Yeah. I've been on so many trips where I have a younger guy, and he's like, "Well, let's update this before we put it in the box." It's like, "Are you nuts, man?"
Yeah. Yeah, I redid my computer yesterday. I'll actually be doing a live stream tomorrow too of building a retro capture PC. But
Okay.
I kind of joked after that, like I'm going to be doing backups every day now on my computer because it's like I don't want to I don't want to mess with one thing and have it all go to hell like it did last week. So I'm usually really good about backups, but I just have been slacking lately.
Yeah, I mean, you're always reminded when you do those upgrades, right? And then you kind of forget about it after the pain goes away.
This game's tricky in a good way. It doesn't feel cheap. You just got to get used to the controls and the timing. But this is pretty neat. Like, I'd be interested to see what the VU engine could do with a game like this. I'm gonna play for another minute here, but we'll move on.
Yeah, I like the style and how this is all done. It's different than a lot of the other games and demos.
Got all that parallax scrolling. Doesn't
Yeah.
need to be in 3D in order to see it all. So is this the end of the demo level?
Yeah, I believe it's a single level.
Well, that was cool. Let's swap to another game. Hey, what's up, John? Good to see you, man. Does my LG OLED have the 2D to 3D conversion? Yeah, but I never use it. To me, it looks just like a bad 3D Blu-ray. And there's a lot of good ones. That's another, just like the Virtual Boy. 3D Blu-ray's got a bad rap, but there are some really good ones. Shank served his time with the Virtual Boy. He's a rehabilitated man. He will not be working on another Virtual Boy project. Um, so what I'm going to be looking at next is Bound High, and I think I have the correct debug version. I don't know, so we'll have to load it up. That's something, one of the many things that Thunderstruck worked on. Um, and it basically, Bound High is a game that was an official Virtual Boy game that was never released. And then the ROM was leaked, and then multiple versions of it were leaked. And then the community stepped up and kind of tweaked some stuff on it. And then Thunderstruck found the debug menu. So I'm going to try that out now. All right. Let me see. Is this even that? I wonder what this is. It says debug, so. No, this is Space Invaders? What? Alright, I'll play this for a minute, and then I'll find Bound High again. Sorry, everybody. This is not listed in the description, but whatever. Let's give it a try. So it's just Space Invaders, but with depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the part of the live stream where I mentioned that sometimes the people who crap all over the Virtual Boy aren't wrong. If I got this when it was new and this was the example of this new 3D technology, I'd be pretty pissed. So
Yeah, this is the first game when I got back into Virtual Boy that I really wanted to get. And then when I got it, I was like, yeah, it's about what I remember. But for some reason, I had an obsession with it for a while.
Cousin Scott got one brand new, and I remember playing Mario Tennis and thought it was cool. And then I played another game, and I was like, "This is kind of dumb. Like, why am I just sitting here like this?" And then years later, he still has the original one he bought back then, and now
Nice.
now we know the difference: the good games and the games to avoid. Dun Mansion, Virtual Boy. Is the Virtual Boy the same or similar to a CRT monitor? No, it's a really low quality LCD screen, but in the context of looking into it here, actually it's pretty cool. Hey, thanks so much for the super chat, Chris. I really appreciate it. Chris needs to get back and try more VB games via emulation on a modern VR headset. Yeah, Kevin, you have experience with that, right?
Yeah, it's a nice Virtual Boy emulator called Virtual Boy Go that runs on the Oculus Go and Quest. You'll get 3D in it as well. So I do a controller adapter for that, so you can also plug in the Virtual Boy controller and play it. And a lot of people like that. It's, especially if you already have one of the headsets, then it's a no-brainer to try out.
All right. I don't know if this is the debug version, but here's the game we were talking about. And this is the opposite of what we just saw. So we just saw a game that didn't need 3D at all. But check this out. You're a ball and you need to bounce onto the different platforms and try to pop the bubbles, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one has nice depth to it. It's harder than it looks too.
Way harder than it looks. Because if you hit the bubble, do you still bounce?
You should. Yeah, there you go.
Because that's the trick. Yeah, this if you take into context the year this came out, right? That changes things. It's not
Yeah.
like this came out in 2022. If you played this game in the late 90s, or mid 90s, whatever this was, this is cool as hell.
I mean, I remember seeing it in a local Circuit City, and it's just 3D. That was amazing at the time. At least on a gaming console. So the first one I remember seeing is Red Alarm, and I was just blown away. Loved it.
Not sure if that one aged well. We'll play that after the homebrew, but yeah, this is I gotta cut myself off after one or two more levels because I could just play this one for a while. Because then it gets harder because you got to avoid the shiny spiky things, but still get the bubbles. Yeah, and then some platforms disappear under you. It's craziness. I saw somebody in the chat mention that Bound High was completed. That's correct, but the version that we all got to play was an earlier version until more were leaked. So, yeah, this one's awesome. That's why it kind of annoys me that some of those people who do those shit on Virtual Boy videos don't even play the good ones.
Why bother? Why bother shitting on something that people like? I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
guess it gets.
Joe Reddifer borrowed my hyper fighting to do his video. Post office lost it, and his response was, "Oh well." And then I was like, "Okay, never lending you anything ever again." And then it showed up like 8 months later. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
made a video shitting all over Virtual Boy. If I'd known that's what his video was gonna be like, I wouldn't have lent him the cart. Okay, I think the next one. Red Square. I don't think I've played this one yet at all, so we will experience it together, and then that's kind of all I got for homebrew. It's basically anything anybody else would want to see. I'll end on a round or two of hyper fighting, just for the hell of it, and then or Mario Tennis. I don't know. I'll take. I will absolutely take requests from the chat. So Dunn Mansion said they tried real Virtual Boy. I don't know. It says no lag, no scrolling lag, no blur, no input lag. If you're talking between emulation and this, yeah, I mean, some software emulation is ridiculously amazing, some isn't. But if you're calling out a Virtual Boy emulator that works that well, please list the exact name of it. I'd love to try it. Yeah, Frog Puppet said they're trying for a full Virtual Boy set. Good luck, because then you're gonna pay top dollar for stuff, and I'm not really sure it's all worth it. The games, yes, but like, it's that endless debate over, do you play a ROM or do you buy the original? And it just, like, my favorite example is Neo Turf Masters, because I love that game, and I'm not spending $15,000 on it. Period. That's it. It's not gonna happen. Get as mad as you want. Call me a ROM stealer. Tell me that I'm stealing from the pockets of SNK developers from the early 90s. It's like, I'm not spending 15 grand on a used copy. That's it. The game, nothing's happening at all. So that means the ROM file probably isn't working properly, right? Because everything else has been working fine.
Yeah, because you're getting the load screen. Yeah, I don't have a lot of player time on this particular one.
Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah, because... Yeah, I'm just... Oh. Is it working now?
Well, you keep getting this one screen, but that's as far as it goes.
And it's not coming through on the Virtual Boy itself. Yeah, something's up with that game. Maybe I downloaded the version for an emulator or something like that. It's possible, but Chris, Virtual Boy Wario Land, I feel like I should play a minute or two of that just for the heck of it. So let me get another game loading on Hyperflash, and and just show people how good a stock game was. I think since it takes long to load, I'm gonna have hyper fighting on this now, which will give me a minute to jump in and play Wario. All right, that's loading. Wario Land. Yeah, Virtual Boy's back to working perfectly. So there was definitely an issue with that ROM. But I wasn't getting anything on the screen here, even though the virtual tap was getting something. So look at that 3D parallax scrolling. That is awesome.
Yeah, I use this to test every Hyper Flash, so I played this first level quite a few times.
I beat the game legitimately, and
Nice.
I really liked it. And I love how right off the bat, like they use the 3D as part of the game.
Yeah.
This reminds me, is just from the creativity point of view, it reminds me of Super Mario Land 2. Because if you played Super Mario Land 1, it's one of those things where it was a good game, I liked it, but then you take a look at Mario Land 2 right afterwards, and it's just like, I can't believe this is the same console. It looks so much different. And that's kind of what this reminds me of, and like, let's just take something that's not the highest powered and see how crazy we can go with it.
Do a great job on this one, especially transitioning to the different levels and stuff. So it's fun. I tried some of the other later Wario games. I'm not sure I'm a big fan, but I like it here on the VB.
And you could butt drop people, which is always hilarious. All right, so check this out. See how we're going into the other side? You use the depth as part of the game.
Yeah. I wish you saw this in more games.
And jump back. Like, that was awesome. You used the 3D to jump back and forth. That's how you traversed one of the things that you couldn't really get to. I think you could run across that. Yeah. Yeah, this is an awesome game. Absolutely worth. If you own a Virtual Boy, this is a must play. Definitely.
Yeah.
Ooh. And if you didn't pick up the key before, you wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, awesome. That is awesome. All right. Alteracious, this is VGA capture. We talked about that at the very beginning. So this will be archived on the channel, of course. But any questions about how we're doing all of this, just as soon as we're done, you'll be able to check out the live stream. Chris is still baffled that Nintendo didn't put Virtual Boy games on the 3DS. So's everybody. It's like, I mean, it's really is like their bastard console. Like, they just wish it never happened, and they just pretend like it didn't exist. Hey, Muramasa. What about Game Boy ports? I don't know if I have the emulator on here, but like the original Super Mario Land translated pretty well. It was pretty cool, but it doesn't run at full speed. But it is pretty amazing to see original Game Boy games running like that.
Always have to test it.
I'm gonna turn the music up a little bit on this one too. Just, I know I already did the live stream with this one, but you really just gotta hear how good a job this port is. Like, you would legit think a team of Capcom engineers spent a year on this. I'm so used to playing this with the fight stick. I can't do it with the Virtual Boy controller. I'm gonna get my butt kicked. Oh, this looks so good though. When I did that live stream, there were a couple of people that, you know, and shout out to Art, to Saban. He was the one that told me, I want you to put your Virtual Boy setup in the middle of the room. And I was like, dude, I am encroaching upon your tournament. Like, I don't want to take up space. I don't want to get in the way. He goes, nope, that's bullshit. I want the RGB monitor in the middle of the room showing Virtual Boy. And sure enough, there was a line of people the entire time. Not a super long line, but a long line. And all the people that were like shitting on it at first, like, what the hell, you got stupid, you know, Street Fighter on Virtual Boy, they all played it, and everybody had something awesome to say about it. Everybody. Even the people that were like, I would never buy this, but I can't believe it came out that well. And some people were even calling out move differences, like, oh, they must have used the sprites from this version and the code from this, because I could pull off this special move. Or it was very cool to see.
You lose. Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. You convert people. That's what makes the best.
Chris was able to try it out at Next Level. Chris was there. Oh, that's awesome. That is so cool. Thank you for jumping in the chat. That is really cool. What else does anybody want to see? I'm going to try to scroll through. We got time for a couple more, so any game that you all want to see, let me know. I will try to go through here and see if I see anything that I think is, you know, jumps out at me, but really it's all about you. Was Red Alarm the game that you mentioned before?
Yeah, it's one of the original games.
All right,
Wireframe.
Let me load that up. Daniel, yeah, there is a Virtual Boy emulator for like Oculus and current stuff. Chris has done a bunch of it. I have a VR headset here. I have the HP one. My friend let me borrow it. I played it like 4 or 5 times, and then it's been sitting in the box ever since for like a year and a half, 2 years now. So, and he never asked for it back because I don't think I think he liked the Oculus better anyway. Even though that one, everything was spec'd better about the HP, like everything about it. D, can anyone tell me if a 4K Gamer Pro makes sense for their Xbox Series S if they're using a B7 OLED from 2017? Series S is the one that doesn't do 4K natively, I believe. So the answer to that question is very easy. Do you like sharp scaled graphics or like more of the anti-aliasing scaled graphics? If you like sharp, 4K Gamer Pro. If you like soft, just let your TV go at it. But in all honesty, if you have a really nice OLED, it's gonna look good either way. So I get kind of defensive about that thing with 4K Gamer Pro because it's not for everybody. Definitely not. But a lot of people are like, oh, it's bullshit. It's just like turning your sharpness up. No, it definitely isn't. It definitely is not.
Here we go.
This is very reminiscent of music isn't as good as hyper fighting. I have to turn that down. It's very reminiscent of like Star Wars, the original Atari Star Wars on the Vector monitors. That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah, when I saw this, I mean, this is the first game I saw on VB. Parents wouldn't buy it at the time. I was a little young for my own money, but I've always liked this game.
I keep forgetting how old I am until I talk to people and realize. I never feel old until I'm injured. And I'm like, oh, that's right, I can't just heal up in a night like I used to.
That's right. I've been feeling that the last few weeks, for sure.
When I had the water leak in my house a couple weeks ago, I freaked out when I saw it because I didn't know what it was. I thought, was it a pipe burst? Am I going to be totally screwed? So I like hulked out and picked up all my monitors and moved them to the other side of the room. And then I basically pulled every muscle from the bottom of my rib cage down to the, you know, up to my thighs. Just because, like, when you're freaking out, you don't think, like, you know, flex your core, bend properly. You're just like, oh my god, my stuff! So, yeah, I messed myself up real bad. And took like a week and a half to heal. When I was a kid, I would do the same thing, and it would take like a day and a half to heal. The game is really good and really impressive, but it definitely, I feel like it didn't age as well as it could have, because the draw distance is pretty terrible. The wireframe's a little confusing. I think it aged just about as well as Star Wars Arcade, because but the difference is you're playing Star Wars Arcade for a couple of minutes at a time, whereas you'd be playing this for quite a while. I wonder if a Virtual Boy TV tuner was ever considered. It would have been bad, but that would have been really neat. Um, let me throw on at least one other game, but any suggestions in the chat, definitely.
You have the Mario Kart demo. That's a unique one.
Yeah, let me do that.
Both for just it being Mario Kart, but also for the audio at boot up. They tried. I think they did a synthesized voice there.
Okay, I'll also turn the volume up for that as well. Okay. All right. Loading up on the Hyperflash now. D, could you clarify, please? Why is it softer, less sharp on the Oh, okay, I get it now. So the way TVs scale their images are designed for TV and movies. They're not designed for video games. And one would argue that modern 3D graphics games might actually benefit from smooth scaling. But that's pretty much it. You could turn your sharpness all the way up, and it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. If this was 2010, it's like blasphemous to do that. But now you could turn your sharpness up. It'll sharp scale it. It'll also add edge enhancement and a bunch of other crap you probably don't want. But yeah.
Space Invaders again.
Space Invader. I definitely put Mario Kart, so there's got to be something wrong with the ROM set I got. Sorry. But yeah, that's basically it. Chid 255. Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about that every podcast for like 3 months. I'm super fired up for Retro World this year. If you're talking about Kevin, Kevin, you were invited, but you live on the opposite side of the country. I totally wouldn't blame you if you didn't feel like coming all the way over to Hartford for an expo.
Yeah, not this time.
I do want to show one other weird thing, and I'm not even going to say what it is because I think people might appreciate this. But after this, Mario Tennis at some point, and if anybody has any other suggestions, definitely let me know. I'll throw it out before that, and if not, we'll just call it after Mario Tennis.
Right.
Alterations, we don't need to work out, just move PVMs all day. Yeah, you'd be surprised at how hard that actually is. Also with the VGA virtual tap, capturing it is tough with modern hardware. They ended up using the Atlona VGA upscaler, and it turned out really nice. Open source scan converter. If your solution's working, don't buy another one. But if you're out there and you're looking to capture the virtual tap, the OSSC is still an amazing piece of hardware. Drives me nuts when a new thing comes out and everybody's like, "Oh, the old thing's shit now." No, it's not. The OSSC is still as amazing as it was for years now. It's just simply a matter of there's other options. But yeah, it absolutely kicks ass. Okay. Let's see if I got the correct ROM for this one. Anybody know what this is? I'm not going to play it for a while because obviously you can just sit and play this game forever. But Snatcher, that's right. That is right. The 3D is very neat and also not at all necessary. But yeah, Snatcher. Yeah, very, very cool. I think everybody, a few people in the chat are getting just as excited as I expected. If you love this game, this is awesome. If you don't like this game, then or if you've never heard of it, it's like, so it's a text game in 3D. That's kind of stupid. But both are fair, I guess. All right, so nobody in the chat's calling out games here, so I'm gonna see if there's one more that I already have loaded up, and if not, then I'm going to go to Mario Tennis. Oh, Alterations would have used the OSSC if the other one wasn't $50. Yeah, you know, there you go. And if you're using it for streaming, who cares about the lag? Lag means nothing. That's why I did that video called The Worst Scaler in Retro Gaming, but I also spent half the video talking about all of the really great uses for it if you use it for streaming or for other stuff. Okay. Thought there was at least one other thing on here. No. Telero Boxer? No. Excellent choice, though. Let me let that load. And while that's loading, I'll get out the original... What about the original Mario demo? I'm not sure what that is. In Rancid, you just missed Street Fighter, but I did, if you check the description 5 minutes after this ends, or just go to RetroRGB.com and search for Virtual Boy live stream. You'll see the one that I did where all we did was Street Fighter, and it was awesome. Load. If anybody hasn't joined or joined before, my trusty Virtual Boy carrying case. Mario. I always call it Mario Tennis, but it's Mario's tennis. It's like it's his tennis. It's his. He has the tennis. All right.
This one with the 2-player mod is awesome. I had my kids asking me to play this game once we wanted it for 2-player.
This is for Mario Tennis. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I played Telero Boxer though. This is gonna be interesting.
Love to have the Rumble or this game patch for Rumble. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-oh. I get knocked silly. I like how it says take a break. Like, all right, we don't quite know if your eyes are gonna mess up after playing this 3D console, so take a quick break. Hey, Graphics Gear is here. Graphics Gear makes some amazing controller overlays and a bunch of other stuff. Definitely cool if you want to mod your controllers and stuff like that. Oh. Did he just bitch slap me? I think he's bitch slapping me.
We just barely made it.
So what happens if you have both put both the up buttons and you do that charge thing? Is that like a special move or something?
Yeah, I haven't played this enough to remember. It's been a few years.
He is. That's a special move. He's bitch slapping me. That's kind of funny. All right. Well, I'm gonna end on the one of my favorites. I know it came with it, so it's not that impressive, but it's still a great game. And I'm not gonna go through a whole set or anything like that. Don't worry. I'm not trying to bore everybody to death. The two-player version of this is so awesome.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Wow, man, you gotta get your timing just right.
Yeah. For this one, for me, sometimes the timing just clicks, and other times it feels like I just can't figure it out.
I think the first time I sat and played it, I just lost for like 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden I just destroyed. Like your timing, you gotta plan your hits in advance.
David's in the chat where he's done a full helmet mount system for Virtual Boy. He said you need to get one of those.
Oh yeah, John from Space Pirate Prince just he made me one of those sets, and I gave the whole thing over to Destiny because I was hoping that either she or Ben or a combination of both would make them. But you take like a tactical helmet you can get on Amazon, you could build it into it so you could wear the Virtual Boy. It's pretty crazy. I think I got my groove back.
There you go.
Yeah, baby. Well, there we go. Oh, John's in the chat. Awesome. Still in the chat. Thanks for hanging out. So, thank you, Kevin, for joining us. Thanks, obviously, everybody in the chat, because this would not be fun without you. But yeah, this is pretty awesome. This was really enjoyable. I love the Virtual Boy. I don't love all the games, but you saw some really awesome ones today, and hopefully we were able to spread the word of all of the awesome homebrew, from Kevin's hardware to the software that we showed. I think there's still a lot of life left in this thing.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, Bob. It was fun.
Hell yeah. And please check the link to Kevin's Patreon, or at the very least just to Twitter or all the other horrible social medias we all deal with. But yeah, definitely follow him for all of his work. Lots of cool stuff coming from Kevin. So thank you very much, and thank all of you for watching.
See you next time, sir. Thanks.